High school, the land of homework, hormones, and awkward teenage years. It's like trying to navigate a minefield, with the added bonus of acne. But don't worry, I'm here to guide you through the chaos and make it out alive. The first rule of high school survival: don't trust anyone who says it gets better. Because let's be real, it doesn't. But at least you'll have some good stories to tell your therapist later. The second rule: make friends with the weirdos. They're the only ones who will truly understand your struggles. Plus, they make great alibis. I couldn't have stolen the science equipment, I was with the weird kid who collects bottle caps. The third rule: don't take gym class too seriously. Just because you're not good at dodgeball, doesn't mean you're not good at life. Unless you're a professional dodgeball player, in which case, you're probably good at life too. The fourth rule: don't stress about popularity. It's like trying to catch a butterfly, the harder you chase it, the more it will elude you. Instead, focus on being a good person and the rest will fall into place. Or not. But at least you'll have a clear conscience. And lastly, the fifth rule: always have a good excuse ready. When the teacher asks why you didn't do your homework, always have a believable excuse. Like, my dog ate it or I was too busy saving the world. Remember, high school may be tough, but with these survival tips, you'll be able to laugh in the face of adversity. Or at least chuckle nervously. RPGs. Role-playing games. First of all, let's talk about the characters. Oh, the characters. You've got your typical warrior, with muscles that would make the Hulk jealous, but with the intelligence of a rock. Then there's the rogue, who's so sneaky, they could steal your wallet and you wouldn't even know it. And let's not forget the mage, who's so powerful they could turn you into a toad with just a flick of their wand. And that makes for a riveting storyline. But the real magic of RPGs is in the story. You know, the epic quest to save the world from certain doom. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book, but with more dice rolls. And let's not forget the classic RPG trope, the tavern. It's the one place where you can get a pint of ale, a quest, and a party member all at the same time. It's like the Tinder of fantasy worlds. But let's talk about the real heart of RPGs, the dungeon. It's like a choose-your-own horror movie. You never know what's going to be behind that door. A horde of goblins? A dragon hoarding treasure? Or the worst thing of all, a puzzle. I mean, who wants to solve a riddle when there's a dragon on the loose? But the real beauty of RPGs is that they bring people together. You and your friends, huddled around a table, rolling dice, and taking on the role of characters. It's like a game of pretend, but for grown-ups. It's like a therapy session, but with more swords. So, the next time you're thinking about playing an RPG, just remember, it's not just a game, it's an adventure. It's not just a hobby, it's a quest. And it's not just a way to pass the time, it's a way to escape to a fantasy world where the only thing you have to worry about is the dragon hoarding the treasure. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard of the cookie that has single-handedly caused more milk to be consumed than a herd of thirsty cows? I'm talking, of course, about the almighty Oreo. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, hey, that's not fair. What about those fancy schmancy macaron? Or those overpriced biscotti? To which I say, please. Have you ever tried to dunk a macaron in milk? It's like trying to teach a cat to do your taxes. It ain't happening. But Oreos? Oh, baby. Oreos are like the Taylor Swift of cookies. They're always evolving, always coming out with new flavors. And just like Taylor, they always seem to know exactly what we want before we even know ourselves. Oh, you want something chocolatey? Here's a double stuff Oreo. Oh, you're feeling a little wild? Here's a firework Oreo. And let's not forget about the classic Oreo. The original. The one that started it all. I mean, have you ever seen a cookie so perfect that it's been used as currency? That's right, people. I've used Oreos to pay for things. And let me tell you, they're worth their weight in gold. Or, well, in Oreos. But the best part about Oreos? The filling. The creamy, chocolatey, magical filling. It's like the frosting on a cake, but better. Because, let's be real, who actually likes cake? It's just a vehicle for frosting. But Oreos? Oreos are all about that filling. So, folks, the next time you're feeling down, just remember, there's always an Oreo out there for you. And if there isn't, well, I suggest inventing one. Because Oreos make everything better. Except maybe your waistline. But hey, cookies over abs any day, am I right? Have you ever met a guy named Dave? Now, I know what you're thinking, oh great, another generic white guy name. But let me tell you, there's nothing generic about a Dave. A Dave is a special breed of man. A Dave is like a chameleon, he can blend in anywhere, but if you look closely, you'll see that he's just a little bit off. Like, have you ever seen a Dave at a club? He's the one swaying to the music with a drink in one hand and a calculator in the other. He's trying to calculate the exact moment to make his move on the girl he's been talking to all night. Or how about at a family gathering? You'll find a Dave in the corner, talking to his aunt about his latest fantasy football league. He's always one step ahead, picking the next big thing before anyone else even knows it exists. But the true mark of a Dave is how he handles technology. You know how you're always telling your grandma to turn off the caps lock? Well, Dave's been stuck in caps lock for the last 20 years. He's the one who still uses a flip phone and gets excited when he figures out how to text with his thumbs. But let's be real, the real reason we all love Daves is because they're the ultimate wingman. They're the ones who will always have your back, they'll always be there to hold your hair back when you're throwing up, or to drive you home after you've had one too many drinks. So, next time you meet a Dave, don't underestimate him. He may not be the life of the party, but he's the one who will make sure everyone gets home safely. Thank you and good night. Have you heard about this new fad called Bitcoin? It's the currency of the future, they say. But if the future is filled with people frantically trying to mine digital coins on their computer, then I don't want any part of it. I mean, have you seen these Bitcoin miners? They look like they've been living off of ramen noodles and Red Bull for the past year. And don't even get me started on the environmental impact. It's like we're trying to power the matrix with our laptops. And let's not forget about the fluctuation in value. One day, you're a millionaire. The next day, you're back to living in your parents' basement. It's like being in a relationship with a bipolar stockbroker. But here's the real kicker, you know what the symbol for Bitcoin is? AB with two vertical lines through it. So basically, it's the currency for people who can't even spell dollar. Honestly, who needs Bitcoin when we've got good old-fashioned cash? You know, the stuff you can hold in your hand and use to buy things like food and shelter. Or as I like to call it, the adult version of Monopoly money. So, if you'll excuse me, I'll be sticking to my trusty paper bills and coins. After all, they may not be worth a fortune, but at least they're not a fad that's going to disappear in the blink of an eye. Or a block of code, as it were.